him, and I told him that, given what I've seen, he was like a tilapia swimming in a pool of alligators, and that he needed to deploy his own convictions about what he wanted to do to lead the country, and that the way, in my view, I saw things moving. I knew that he was on the wrong trajectory, and true enough, as he took power in 2018 down to 2017, the GDP started dropping, taking a dive position in the country. Many other things that should have been provided. Services were not running. The government was running on the surface, deep into the real operational, core of the government. It wasn't really running. Coordination was lacking. Everyone was serving to please the president and other things and so forth. And at my own water and sewer, I was also deep in the middle of alligators, and every good step I wanted to take to transform the system was disrupted. I was always confronted. I'm a stranger, and so
And
forth.
did you see yourself as one?
Well, only an Immigrant would tell me that, would tell a Liberian who was serving to provide service that he's a stranger, and so I wasn't surprised that the people who were telling me. But when I went further and got to know the repetitions, the character of the people who were telling me that, I wasn't surprised. And the only thing I could do was, to call the president a couple of times and tell him, look, Mr. President, I do not think I can make the kind of change that I can make yet in this particular institutions. I have not much to say about them to you, but please do me the right thing to get me out of here. I came here and so forth because the system is not running as anticipated and so forth. And I wasn't getting a redress, and the fact that I couldn't get a redress, I didn't want to go into confrontation with him when I was serving the system. I decided to quietly just resign.
So you maybe sought his attention.
Oh yeah, I
Before.
did that over and over. My man, I'm a professional person. When I saw that the system was not working, all I could do was to consult the appointing authority, and he didn't think it was necessary, to pay attention, and so I just resigned. I quit it. And when I quit it, and that was for me the greater disappointment. And I thought that, President Weah, I can imagine how probably other people in the system will want to actually help to influence change. But again, probably they are apprehensive because of they anticipated, reactions that they're going to receive from either him or probably people who believe they will want to prove or demonstrate that indeed they are loyalists to him and so forth. My first issue that I got confronted with in the first place, when I was sitting out at the Mama Point Hotel when the first kind of uncivilized reactions got to me. When I was resigning, I asked for 2 weeks to leave. One, as a professional person, I wanted to make sure that I gave my turnover note. Mm-hmm. Two, I had lobbied and sending a proposal to a group from the Netherlands that I've accepted to give the government about €36 million euro, and they have come in country. We've done all the assessment. We've done the.
That is for water and sewer.
Yeah, for water and sewer. We wanted to revamp the sewage system in the city. So, but it needed about we needed $70 million, so they could provide the 36 million euro. So we sat down, we did assessment, had a meeting with the MD and other people to introduce these guys. We did assessment of the facility, and we went to the Mama Point Hotel to discuss process towards signing the MMO, and then how we can get a counterpart funding to be able to have the $70 million. So we got the World Bank, we're talking with them, but then we're discussing about Mama Point Hotel. So my letter got to the executive mansion, and when they received my letter that, I was leaving, but I've asked for 2 weeks because I wanted to do my turnover note, and then to complete the arrangement, I didn't want to shock the partners that were coming, so that they don't feel different. And I wanted to make sure that they complete their mission, and then I leave, and so forth. I think they were all angry, that my letter had got into the mansion. And talks were dispatched at the Mama Point Hotel where discussions were taking place. They met me and the partners discussing. and they lifted the table, scattered the table, dropped my laptop, requested for the key for the car that I was using, and the guests were, sitting in disbelief and asking me what's happening, and so forth. And I told them, look, I will brief you when they leave. And they left, and I briefed them. Up to 2 o'clock in the morning, I was still being called, and people were calling me. They got my letter from the mansion to deliver to me. I mean, imagine as late as 2 o'clock in the morning. First thing Saturday morning, I was on the practice ground at the SKD, and they delivered my letter. But I was not still enough in their belief and so forth.
So what did that letter say?
So the letter said, "Oh, we thank you for your service, and we receive your communication, so you are welcome to leave now." So I said, "Okay." And then I was standing in my friend's wedding, Smith Tobit. Most of you, the media guys, are my friend. So Mr. Tobit asked me to serve as a father, to him, and then to serve as a patron in his wedding. So we arranged a wedding, and I accompanied him to the traditional marriage. Apparently, I think the news got to the president, and the president called Mr. Smith Tobit before his confidant and said, "I don't want to see the inside face at that wedding." And so forth. Smith Tobit was embarrassed. He found time. He got to me, and I said, "Smith, I heard it already." So, in that kind of embarrassing mood and so forth. I said, "But Smith, give my clothes to somebody else, and whatever I contributed, go ahead and have your wedding, to maintain your happiness and so forth." So you can imagine that kind of reaction, and nobody will want to go through that kind of reactions. And when a president tell you in that kind of form of manner that, hey, I don't want to see the inside face anywhere, I mean, that sent a serious reminder as to how you should behave, and it didn't just happen. It happened to few other friends that were warned about my friendship with them, all that kind of stuff and so forth. So when you are in a system and you are in a cycle and you hear other people being warned and being treated that way, sometimes people know the right thing to do. Liberia, we got people who respect themselves, who got integrity, who want to work. But I think the way the country is being governed by Mr. Weah and his reactions to people who got dissenting view and all that and so forth, got many people sitting down and just say, "Hey, you know what? Let me make what I can make. Let me make my money. I don't have to show to this guy that, oh, you know what? I have a dissenting opinion or anything." And so
And what is that causing? What could that be causing the country, in your own view?
Well, it's causing the country what the country has right now. Today you have a country where the foreign minister cannot visit anywhere else. He's a foreign minister for West Africa. They have to negotiate before he can come here and other things and so forth. Those are some of the things that will happen. You're going to find people who are underperforming in ministries and agency, and everyone sits and look. They never want to make sure that they tell the president or somebody advise the president or the advisor self. Those who are real advisors to him, they wouldn't want to say anything probably that he doesn't agree on and so forth. And they fear that, yes, it's going to cost them their job or, something else and so forth. So everybody sit and look at the president. And that is the dilemma that the country is faced with today. All the things and most of what you see happening in Liberia, it doesn't mean that people don't think that some of them are wrong. There are people who are in the system, but they will never talk. And they will never talk because they know what the reaction will be. And nobody wants to lose their bread. And you can't blame them. This is a country where our investment, character is very uncouth. And so nobody wants to move in the country with investment. And so the only job people have in country is governmental job. And if people just have governmental jobs, you die anybody, confront the leader who is unprepared to listen, who think that acquiring degree is an equivalent of having education, which is not true. You can have degree, but having degree does not necessarily mean that you're educated or that you know everything. I think for me, the kind of phenomena that many people share that sometimes, when people have certain level of understanding, when other people want to advise and they take offense And I think that's the problem that the country is faced with at the moment. Yes.
That I know you. You just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
You just explain some trillion issues. One, the king is naked, and no one can tell him that, hey, Mr. President, you are naked. So, in few words, how will you describe the democratic process in Liberia? And you spoke of the system is not working. Name them. Is it corrupt, incompetent people? We want to hear these things.
No, but because of the kind of way the leadership of the country deals with issues, people who are in integrated agency would not work to make sure that they transform the system because they know what the reaction would be. People who are in the judiciary would not work to make sure that everyone has justice because they know what the reaction would be. Those who are in governing institutions responsible to introduce policies, to enforce policy, to enforce system. Those who are in the security sector who supposed to be fighting crime to deal with certain situations. You never know what the borderline is, and so you never want to go fight. You know, you deal with certain issues, it will cost you your job. So at the end of the day, the system we have is a self-afflicted system. It's a self-afflicted situation. Many of them would not tell you openly in many places and so forth, but quietly they meet you to tell you the problem that the country is faced with, the problem that they are faced with.